supporters of the regatta. The Whittier Cup was first awarded in 1983 with the running of the inaugural Women's Invitational race at the Crew Classic. This trophy is now widely thought to be the premier prize of the early spring collegiate rowing season and is a marquee event at the San Diego Crew Classic. We see all these crews lining up here. We've got 7 lanes on the water. In lane 1, University of Washington. Lane 2, Texas. Lane 3, Washington State. Lane 4, California. Lane 5, Southern Methodist University. Lane 6, University of Notre Dame. Lane 7, University of San Diego.
Alignment has been called in this race.
All right, and we see these overhead shots here of final adjustments by the coxswains. Make sure that those bows are pointed all the way laser focused down to that finish line. Got a lot of boat speed and horsepower. These horses are ready to run. So wait the flag of the starter, and we'll be off and running here in the Women's Varsity 8 Jessup Whittier Cup. This is an invitational event.
And as we watch the boats from here, you'll be able to tell when these boats are ready to go, as you will see all blades drop into the water. As long as you see blades sitting on top of the water, feathered if you will, they are supporting the boat. Once they drop into the water, that means it is time to go.
Right, and as we are waiting for the official start here, we look at lanes 1 and 2, both Washington and Texas winning their respective heats, with lanes 3 and 4, those were your second place finishers coming out of the heats yesterday, Washington State and then California. But with the fastest times of the day, it was Texas and California. So lanes 2 and 4 with your fastest times of the day, followed by Washington and then Washington State. So as they come out of the gate here with 7 boats across, we're looking very early on with a great start here is Texas. Lane 2 jumping out of the gates and getting their bow ahead in the very early stages here.
This race is off and running, and we are going to have a heck of a race on our hands here. 7 boats across, all of them fast, all of them in the hunt, and all of them wanting to come home with that Jessup Whittier Cup. So we're going to see how this race sorts its way out. We are live on our results right now. Currently, it looks like we have Texas jumping out into that early lead, followed by what looks to be Cal.
So at this point, very early on, there is going to be a lot of overlap, especially with those top boats between Washington, Texas, Washington State, and California. We expect that these guys are going to go after each other with with guns blazing. And right now, it is Texas and California. Those are your top 2 crews early on, but still quite a bit of overlap. So Washington, University of Washington in lane 1, they are your third place crew. They are sitting behind Texas by about 7 seats. Washington State, though, got a lot of overlap there with the Washington crew. Washington State sitting in fourth, just behind University of Washington. And then back to Washington State by about a length is going to be is going to be Notre Dame. So Notre Dame rowing out of lane 6, currently in your 5th place position, but pretty close in terms of placement between Washington State and Notre Dame for that 4th place spot.
And it looks
In 5th, it's going to be University of San Diego rowing out of lane 7, and then just behind University of San Diego by a couple of seats, your 7th place crew at this point will be Southern Methodist.
Texas still pushing their way out front there now with Washington and Cal looking about side by side on this, as we have Washington State and Notre Dame as well looking side by side. It's currently, University of San Diego just a bit up on SMU from lane 5. I think we're going to have an amazing race on our hands, lots across the board here. So make sure you keep your eyes on the cameras, and then as soon as those boats get to the beach here, you are going to want to be down on the beach to track what is happening, because we are spread across all lanes for racing here. This is not just going straight to lane 1 and lane 2. There is lots to be catching at this moment in time. Texas still holding on to that lead position. Cal looking like they have now edged out slightly into that second place, with Washington in third as far as what we can see from the cameras.
Yeah, and I've got both Texas and California clocked at 36 and a half, 37 strokes a minute. So both of those crews now pushing each other. They've got the other boats behind them now by almost a little bit of open water. So University of Washington in lane 1, looking at a challenge by Washington State rowing out of lane 3, and then all the way across University of Notre Dame also doing a great job pushing their nose just inside of that Washington State lead there. In so between 4th and 5th place, really close here between Washington State and University of Notre Dame. But well up front, it is going to be the Longhorns now extending their lead out. It looks to be about 6 to 7 seats for Texas over California. Both of those crews with really some amazing personnel in that boat, that Texas boat, sporting 2 of the CRCA athletes to watch of the year, Anna Jensen and Lainey Nitch, both Jensen from Michigan, Nitch from Texas, 2-time All-Americans, both with under 23 World Championship experience. Really just such a dedicated powerhouse in those boats between those 2 athletes. California as well with 2 CRC athletes to watch. So a lot of international experience in that California boat. But interestingly, that stroke seat, Van Weestrenen, she also has her sister in the bow seat. So some sibling support coming into that California boat to help them down the course. But just such an amazing first early season experience here as Cal chases down Texas. Washington now pushing themselves solidly into that 3rd place position, sitting behind California by a little bit of open water, and now Washington State solidifying themselves in 4th. University of Notre Dame in 5th. Back behind them by a good amount of open water, it continues to be the Toreros. University of San Diego, again, they are in this invitational by virtue of their performance last year in the Cal Cup. They won the Cal Cup, so now here they are testing themselves against some of the best in the nation. In the 7th place spot, it will be SMU, one of the top ranked crews in the nation, in the top 20. But here we go. Texas coming into that alumni tent area. Get yourself down to the beach. This is that marquee event. And really, what is it going to take for Texas and California chasing each other all the way down the course? We're going to see some great top end speed here. University of Washington, the Huskies also in the mix. Take a look coming down into the spectator area. It is Texas in lane 2. They are your leaders from start to finish here. 37 strokes a minute, starting to lift that stroke rate up.
Here goes Texas holding on to that lead as they come into the finish, looking confident with their position right now, bringing that rate up just as they should. Quick catches, getting the blades into the water to solidify that position for themselves. Texas ready to push themselves across the line. It looks like it's going to be Texas in 1, followed by Cal in that second position. Next up, we have Washington looking like they're making their way into that 3rd place position, followed by Washington State. Next up, it looks like Notre Dame crossing the line. University of San Diego up next with SMU off the back as we see the standings from our Women's Varsity 8 Jessup Whittier Cup Invitational.
And that will be Texas defending their San Diego Crew Classic title from last year. They took first in this event in 2023. And once again, they will be going home with that coveted Jessup Whittier trophy.